Hi guys, I just wanted to do a very quick video and introduce you to the high ticket sales funnel. So what I wanted to do was really go through what a high ticket sales funnel is, the purpose of it, the infrastructure, and the things to bear in mind. If you're building your own, then these I'll basically outline the whole structure so you can go away and build one basically. So when we're thinking about high ticket sales funnels, it's for a very specific purpose. So it's usually for products and services of about £3,000 upwards. And the reason for that is so all the metrics align. So if you're paying for ads, there's certain metrics on each step of the funnel that when they align mean that you get at least a 3-to-1 return on ad spend when you actually convert a prospect into a sale. So that's the reason for this kind of simplicity. It's a lot of it, we're very much with most funnels, it's about the metrics that are involved in it, not necessarily the steps and how it's put together. You need to understand your metrics in order for it to work. Okay, I won't go on about that though. So let's have a look at what the actual infrastructure is. So the first page that we've got is what we call a terminal point. So this terminal point is basically whatever conversion it is for your business. So what is the objective? What is the goal? What is the one thing that sits between your lead generation and your sales and your customer? So it could be a free trial. It could be an appointment if you're booking calls. Usually with a high ticket purchase, you need a person involved. As much as we don't like getting on sales calls, you still need somebody involved. So it's usually to do with booking a call in more often than not. It could be something else. So for like a mid-ticket, it would be like a webinar sign-up, for instance. But it's basically whatever it is we're trying to achieve is the goal, basically. So what we'll do, just for argument's sake, we'll say it's an appointment funnel. That's a really poor calendar. The second page that we want to consider is the thank you page. So this is the page immediately after signing up. So I've come through your funnel. I think your services are absolutely amazing, and I want to sign up for an appointment. So I go onto your calendar booking page, which is your terminal page. I sign up, I put all my details in, and then that takes you through to a thank you page. So on a thank you page, a lot of the time it's often overlooked in terms of what it is, and people will just say, "Oh, thanks for your inquiry, thanks for signing up," and it needs to be more than that. It's an opportunity to what we call pre-frame the sales call. So you can provide information and a video on there that resells your services. So hopefully by the time they've reached this point, they've done this, they've signed up for an appointment for a reason. And it's because you built enough trust, you built enough rapport with the prospect that they've decided to have a call with you. And then from there, they want to go through to a thank you page. So again, it's an opportunity to continue building on that rapport you've already built and actually pre-frame the sales call. So telling them exactly what to expect on the call, anything that they need or anything that they need to prepare for. More often than not, we'll be saying things like make sure you're in a quiet environment, that your phone's off, that you've got your full focus. Anything we've asked you to bring in, please bring it along to the call so it's as beneficial as possible. It's about that framing infrastructure and actually setting certain standards on the thank you page. So as I say, it's often a very overlooked page, but it's a very useful page. So take your time, think about the copy on there, think about what it is that you're saying to people, thinking about the next stage before you get on a call, because this can be the difference between people actually turning up. So if you set the excitement and they're excited about actually speaking to you, and then you're further enhancing it through this, then they're more likely to turn up and you'll reduce your no-show rate. So on this, obviously you've got various bits of information. That's like a really crap star. So like, that was supposed to indicate reviews, but yeah, it's been a long time since I did graphic design at college. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. So yeah, so going back to this, so you got your terminal point, you got your thank you page. So the main method of getting somebody to your conversion page is literally through what we call a VSL. There's a lovely pretty thing, a nice little button there. Right, so a VSL is basically a video sales letter page, and the purpose of it is to be your salesman, basically. So this replaces the sales guy or the business development guy that's out on the road. This is basically this is giving all the information that a prospect requires to convert. So it's the opportunity to build rapport. It's giving them all the information that they need in order to make a buying decision, or at least to show an interest to make an inquiry, let's say, not necessarily buying at that point. Albeit, I like to position it around if someone actually gets on a call with you, they're almost at that point of buying anyway, just because you've given them enough value, you've given them enough information. So what happens if, oops, I'll tell you what we'll do. Right, we'll move that over. Just bear with me 1 second. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can make sure we can get everything on there. Oops. Right. There we are. That's better. Just so I can draw everything else on it. Right. So we've got the VSL, which follows a very specific format, and obviously there's kind of things like copywriting that need to be involved. There's generally very specific structures. We talk about it in the in my program, the 10x AI lead machine. We go through and we create the offer, create all your messaging and everything else. But for these purposes, it's really like a key intro to your product or service, and it contains various bits of information that you need in order to grab someone's attention. Basically, it's an attention grabbing mechanism. So sometimes what we would do, whoops, is break your laptop. That's what you would do. No, you don't want to do that. Right. So one thing we can do is we can send ads. We can send ads directly to the VSL page. So this is this works quite well. Obviously, you're not getting the opportunity to build a rapport with the client in terms of giving them a lead magnet or something like that, or content up front. What it is that you're doing is trying to get trying to get a conversion straight away, and your offer and your package and your messaging needs to be absolutely spot on for that to work. To be honest, because that is really, other than your ad, that's generally the only point of communication you have with them before they actually do a call. Obviously, if you've got content out there and they've researched you before and you've got all these different touch points, there is a mechanism by Google, and they say it's the 7, 11, and 4. So it's 7 pieces of content seen 11 times over 4 different channels, and that's kind of proven really to a bit of a proven methodology around how much content people need to see before they start trusting you. Basically, they've used their kind of gazillions of data points and analytics to kind of work that out. Let's say I couldn't verify it, but ultimately that's supposed to be what it is. Anyhow, going back to the kind of VSL. So yeah, if you want to, you can send ads there. You can use SEO. You can send it as an extension of your website. Actually, which works really well. So if you have like a website, they generally call it a funnel hub. So what you're doing is you've got multiple funnels on there, and you're sending people to various different funnel mechanisms from your website. So you send traffic through your website, through SEO, things like that, and that goes through your funnel. It's a different strategy, but yeah, it's an option. So then, more often than not, what you will have with a high ticket sale is you will have a lead magnet, which looks quite similar actually in terms of the page infrastructure. We keep these pages as simple as possible, and it's really for UX. The more things you have on a page, the more things that make people think, the lower the conversion is generally. Unless it's something specific, unless you're trying to do a low ticket offer where you want a really kind of in-depth page because you're trying to sell on that and get people to make a purchase. For what we're doing at the moment, we really want to get people through to this conversion point, because that's the ultimate goal. So this is simplistic. It's about showing people what it is that they're signing up for. So because we want to capture the details and then pass them through to the VSL. And the VSL can be a little bit more involved. It'll have testimonials on things like that. And it follows a very specific format in terms of the structure. And it's normally like the promise is in your headline, then you've got proof, and then the action steps, and then basically what you need to do to get through to book an appointment. All sounds very simplistic in concept, but it's actually not It's not that easy to get right. Each one of these steps needs to follow in sync. So within this, you would have, within this opt-in lead magnet, you would collect name, email. I like to collect the phone number as well, because then you can do a follow-up call. So if people don't actually sign up for your or book an appointment, sorry, then which happens quite a lot, you've also got the option to phone them. I was going to draw a phone then, but yeah, we'll draw a phone like that. There we go. I was going to do an old school phone then. That shows me age, doesn't it? The other option is obviously we can send an email nurture sequence, and the idea is we're providing value, because the reason they might not have signed up for an appointment is because they're on a journey. They might be just finding out information at this point. They might just they might not be ready to pay for somebody to help them. They're going through that process of learning. So if we can help them on that journey, provide value in each one of these emails, whilst also obviously trying to get them back to booking an appointment with us so we can have a conversation with them, we kind of build rapport as we go, because we're providing value. So this is the kind of the real core, or the kind of base core that you would have in a funnel. There is obviously more complex systems. So within sorry, I should go there. As well as the email nurture sequence, what you can have is a happy little person at the top there, big smiley face. Oh, that's terrible. I really need to work out this drawing like. So you would have a bot, like a chat bot. But it's not chatbots in the conventional term. So this is where the AI comes in. And it's around about appointment setting. So AI over the past year, as we all know, it's come on leaps and bounds. But there's things that are kind of happening in the background that you may not be privy to, in terms of the advancements in kind of conversational technology, voice AI, all these different things are happening in the background. And I estimate you can already do voice AI to a certain degree through a system called 11 Labs. They do kind of voice recognition and things like that. But there is calling mechanisms out there and available in terms of different apps. But for me, they're not quite there yet. They're getting there. The technology has come on very much so over the past 6 months, and they're almost there. I say in about 3 to 4 months, you will be able to have outbound appointment setters where within this sequence of events, you'll have automation that basically triggers not only a conversational AI bot, but you'll be getting a phone call as well, and it will be AI on the other end of the phone, being very polite, of course, but all with the ultimate goal of getting you back to here and booking a call. Now, the conversational AI element is actually really good at the moment. It's come into its own. There are different grades of how good certain systems are, and how good the flow of conversation is. It's not like the good old days when you had a chat bot and it was just like a question and answer. It's come on massively from then, and it's more conversational based. So it's literally like you're speaking to a customer service agent but having a proper conversation. You can answer any questions or anything about your business. You have to actually train it on the business data for it to be able to perform. But the idea is, if you think of it as an employee, ultimately, as you would give them all your data and all your sales data and everything else, for them to be able to do the job properly. And you're doing the same thing with these AI-based bots. As I say, the voice AI will be coming, I reckon, probably in about 3 to 4 months. I think it'll probably come into its own, so we will start seeing AI-based calls. So unfortunately for appointment setters, that role is going to become redundant, because these AI bots can contact the lead straight away. So they're working 24/7. You don't need to pay them. They don't need a rest. They don't need to sleep. They'll just phone within like 1 minute, or whatever time span you set between somebody actually filling in their details. They can phone straight away. They could phone within 10 minutes. There's a whole sequence of kind of automation that can kind of sit behind the scenes that basically control all these mechanisms, control all the email, control basically the form setup, and then how each of these kind of works together as an ecosystem. Even after the point of thank you, we use Go High Level as our kind of proprietary system. You can basically set up a lead management system on the back end, which we do anyway by default. But this basically gives you the option then of controlling the status of your leads, which again can then factor into or integrate with your existing CRM system, let's say, or you could just use it, go high level. It's a very comprehensive piece of kit. It takes quite a little bit to get your head around, but there's a lot to it, and it's really, really powerful. So it's worth, if you've not looked at it already, then it's worth having a look at. There will be links, obviously, below this video to all of these, but yeah, it's definitely worth having a look at. So going back to where we were before, we kind of went off on a bit of a tangent. So we've got the lead magnet, which is here. So how do we get people to the lead magnet? So there's only really 4 ways that we can get people to a lead magnet, and that's via ads, via content, which includes SEO, and social, actually, and social posting, via networks, via networks, that really doesn't even say networks, don't even know what that says, and I keep pressing the button on this pen, and then partnerships. So just to briefly explain what these are. Ads, I'm sure you're familiar with. What you might not be, or might be not so familiar with, is the intent and the type. So we generally work with 3 different types of ads. Sorry, I got a bit of an itchy nose. We work with 3 types of ads. So we have Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, and Google ads. So Facebook and LinkedIn are what they call broadcasting. So if you think back to your TV, when you see an advert on the TV, it's broadcasting to you. Basically what that means is it's presenting an offer to an audience. Basically, you're not going out searching for it, you've not shown intent at that point, you're literally just consuming what's in front of you. And that is basically what we're doing with kind of Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads. Yes, we can target an audience, yes, we can put it in front of people that show more likelihood, and the algorithms will optimize it based on who engages with it. And then these, I think the last count on Facebook ads, it was something like 70,000 data points that it uses to the algorithm, that is to kind of work out who you should be putting in front of the ad, who they should be putting the ad in front of, sorry, and who might convert on it, and who will click on it and who would convert. With Google ads, for instance, that's slightly different because it's based on search. So there's already a level of intent there, because somebody's already shown that they want to be involved. They want to find out information. They might want to buy a product. They've already made that intent-led decision. So they've already got it in their head, basically. So there's a distinct difference between the 2 types of kind of marketing, and each need to be treated slightly differently in terms of the kind of messaging and things like that you're going to be putting on the page. Google Ads is very much hand in hand with SEO, because obviously it's the same page they're coming from, and it's the same mechanisms. People are going online and they're searching. Now, this is all going to change, obviously, with the state of AI at the moment and things like Perplexity, and the fact that you can now search through ChatGPT and do a direct search from Google. In my opinion, Google's on its way down, unfortunately. I don't know. They need to do something rather drastic. They've already got they've still got a large proportion of the kind of search market, obviously, but I think over time that's going to deplete. I think as people get used to searching a certain way, then it will it'll become more prevalent, and I think people will search more on things like using Perplexity or ChatGPT or one of the other LLMs and one of the other LLMs to actually start doing their kind of research and things like that. I think the days of the kind of search engine structure, I think they're numbered in terms of it, in terms of the existing structure as it is. I mean, that's why obviously Google has got the box at the top now, which is basically giving you that information. The whole concept of it is they couldn't do the whole page because they would lose all the revenue on ads. So they have to keep that infrastructure, and they're bound by it to a degree, because they can't monetize the same way through the generative AI response. Anyhow, that's a completely different subject that I'll go into quite happily on another day. But yeah, going back to the traffic sources, so that's ads. The other way is obviously content, SEO, so that's obviously social posting, creating blogs, things like that, social posts, and just sending organic traffic. So that's not social ads, that's organic social posting. Then we've got networks. So this is not going out and getting drunk with a load of people that you've met in a pub. Albeit that is networking to a degree. This is not what I mean by this. This is more kind of using other people's networks. So using their audiences. So if someone's got an email list or they've already got a pre-existing audience, an influencer, for instance, that's a good example. They would use their network to put your offer in front of them, and then hopefully go into your sales funnel. Partnerships are slightly different, so they're basically partnerships with kind of other businesses that will drive traffic, or it could be kind of media buying where you're placing content on somebody else's site in terms of an advert. But generally, partnerships is people that deal with the same audience as you, but you form a partnership with it. So it's kind of a two-way partnership in terms of sharing that traffic. Didn't really explain that very well, but it's something that kind of sits on the periphery. More often than not, you're going to be looking at ads and kind of content really to drive traffic into your funnel. So that's basically it in a nutshell. They're the kind of the base requirements for a high ticket funnel. It's the 4 individual pages and then these individual mechanisms. Obviously, you can get more complicated. So when they've done the kind of initial nurture sequence, then you can put them into, can't even draw now. You can put them into a kind of more involved nurture sequence, which is over time. So these could be very specific. Obviously, you can do, whereas these are more generic, obviously you can also do things like email marketing, where you're bringing people back to either your VSL page, where you're kind of selling your product in, or even if they've not opted in already, and you've kind of purchased it and you're doing cold outreach via email, then yeah, then you can send them to your lead magnet basically, and then hope they click through. So I hope that's been useful in terms of explaining the kind of infrastructure of a high ticket sales funnel. Obviously, it's something we do every day with our clients that we work with. If you have got any questions or you need help setting up an AI based sales funnel in your business, then obviously please either comment below, or I think I'll put a link below this video as well that you can click and arrange a call directly with me. Yeah, I hope you found that useful, and hopefully you'll get a high ticket funnel set up and start making lots of money. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day and every success with your sales funnels. Thank you.